Good morning. Welcome back to Daybreak on this 23rd day of January 2024. My name is Sam Gituku and I want to introduce the panelists here in studio. Geoffrey Ruku is the Member of Parliament for Mbeere North constituency. Good morning.
Good morning, Sam.
Beatrice Elachi is the Member of Parliament for Eldoret North. Good morning.
Eldoret North, where you are seated. I
Yes.
have not gone to Eldoret.
What did I say?
Eldoret North.
Oh, God. I mean, Eldoret North.
Good morning and
Eldoret
happy New Year.
North. Oh, my God. All right. The president is the former MP for Eldoret.
I was about to say, those are good prayers.
Okay, all right. Danson Mungatana is the Senator of Tana River County. Good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have all of you here. And we have three issues to talk about. We want to talk about financing of education. We also want to speak about what transpired yesterday, the meeting between, or is it among the three arms of government, but also including the Council of Governors. We also want to talk about the latest in the regulations that have been released by the Ministry of Health for public participation on the health laws. But we begin with education because we understand that several members of Parliament have been disbursing or rather giving out letters of CDF bursaries to learners, to various institutions. The Principal Secretary for Basic Education, Bello Kipsang, is saying that as of now, at least 280,000 students or pupils that start KCPE 2023 are yet to join Form 1, and there is a program to make sure that there is a total mop-up of all those learners to have them get to school. Of course, this is about 2 weeks since the Form 1s started reporting to school. And of course, looking at this, then there is a challenge in the 100% transition. So much more going on in the education sector. There is a story that talks about parents, teachers confused by CBC. Grade 6 marks, it's one of the top stories on the Standard. At the front page, Twitter said the grading system should be changed as they are left wondering how learners performed. And let me begin with you, Senator Danson Mungatana, because your county has had some of the challenges. And when you look at even analysis in the national examinations, if you look at the numbers in the KCSE candidature versus when those same learners were sitting for KCPE, there's always a great percentage of nearly 40% of learners that don't make the transition to the end. What has been the situation this time round, and is education financing one of the challenges that you'd say is major in that area, or it's about people understanding the need to transition?
Thank you very much. First of all, we've had very special kind of challenges in Tana River County because when the floods came, some of the schools were affected. And so we've had the challenges of trying to get some of the candidates to go to other places so that they can be able to take the examinations in a more conducive environment. Aside from that, when we come to education financing, we also have a special problem in Tana River because it must be the only county where the governor does not disburse any form of bursary to students, which is a very, very sad situation. And I have said many times that it is not acceptable. The blame game saying, oh, MCAs have failed to pass the bill is not good explanation, because a lot of students who are not getting to study. And it is not good explanation because it is, in fact, the work of the governor to make sure that bills that are critical pass, just like the bill for budget. How come they make it pass? For budget, how come supplementary budget passes? Why not the same energy being applied to make sure that the governor scholarship bill also passes? So we have some challenges. But students have been getting assistance from the members of parliament, the three of them, and students have been getting assistance from the MCAs who have some small budget for making sure that they assist where they can. But education financing is a problem because we have still, up and above all those people who have been assisted, there are still many more who are remaining at home. This makes it a burden to all of us, especially to those of us who are in elected leadership. Because at this time, you go home, you find you have a lot of requests for people to get assistance.
Right.
And some of them who get assistance for bursary, they will say they don't have fare, they don't have uniform, they don't have this and the other. So there is a challenge. And I have argued before that maybe it's time that we should have one big basket where all the bursaries should be put in one big basket for education. You know, like a place like Cuba. Cuba, you can read all you like, even to be a medical doctor. That's why we got so many medical doctors the other day from there, without paying a cent. Education is free for real. So if the MCA is giving bursaries, if the MP is giving bursaries, the women rep has something, the governor has something, why not all of this be put in one place? Wings to Fly, I don't know what for KCB, in one place, or directly taken to the institutions. You know, when we started a CDF ourselves many years when we were MPs, we didn't have that bursaries. We didn't have that headache.
Right.
So we only focused on physical infrastructure for schools. So it is not making sense.
What has happened between that time and now?
Of course, the laws have been changed by our colleagues in the National Assembly. They have changed the law so that it creates space for them to help, and there were reasons. But, you know, let's think about it. And I had this speech from the Honorable Minister Aisha Jumwa the other day talking about something similar. He says, in Kilifi, you have MCAs giving bursary, MPs giving bursary, women rep giving bursary, the Wings to Fly, the governor, all these people. So you'll find some people even get from this one, from the other, and from the other, because they are vocal politicians or they are people with a lot of grassroots support. So we need to have a system where either the money is taken directly there, you know, to the schools, so that it's free for free. It's free for really free, you know. Or we have one place, a national kitty, where all those who need bursaries are given from that place. And for me, I would favor the first system where the money is taken there so that we have less disbursements. Because every time you move money from one place to another, there is cost to that money. And this cost doesn't go to education, it goes to the people who are handling the transactions. So I think we all need to rethink about education financing. And I hope the presidential working team thought about this, because we need to have a new model about education financing. Thank you.
Honorable Elachi, we live in a country where about 28% of the national revenue goes to financing education. In the current budget, I think it's about 628 billion shillings. So that's a huge chunk of public resources. But then again, that does not factor in the disbursements that members of parliament have to make through the CDF, and also what the governors may allocate to go to education. Is it that we're becoming more dependent as a society, or what's going on there to an extent that almost everyone now is getting bursary?
You see, one of the things, first of all, let me say that when you look at our education system, which we ourselves as politicians are to blame, because by the time we started all these processes we've put in place, it was who thought through? Because for us who have come in now, we find a system which we also feel, what type of a system is this? And every child can go to Kenya to school if we just reorganize the education system. And then so that we don't find parents who are very desperate and they are wondering. And so even what you're giving, you wonder whether it is there to support or what is it there to do. But then having said that, it is also a system where you can't just cut it through immediately.
Right.
So you have to have a process also in realigning everything. And I am thinking, for now, for the next 3 years, we have to finish with the team that finished, that is the 844 system, because that is how that system works as we reorganize. And let us ensure, as we go to CBC, we reorganize the system properly, that every child has a right, as per the Constitution of Kenya, to go to school. Now, even if you're saying they are going to school, yes, I will agree, you'll send all the money. So what happens to the effects? Because you find a parent who a child has performed very well, and she comes and she just gives you, I mean, this morning, I have just started, yesterday is when I started issuing now, just to get to know who are the children, and yet, for the last 1 week when I have been going in schools to just see how the intake, and you ask the teacher of St. George's, ask sister at Precious Blood. I have been arriving in the school, and before I leave, I have 6 students who are from Dagoretti North, but they don't have everything. Some have just walked. In fact, St. George's was the most saddest. We walk in, and our mother has come with a child, as they are, and she's seated. She tries to remove all the old things she has asked. The shoes are torn, and the child is joining Form 1. And the child has performed. So one of the things we must do is to return dignity to all our children. So even if you remove that, there's still the social part of a parent not even having the effects. When we tell our parents that you're about to pay school uniform, for example, so you find when you walk into a school, the school uniform in some schools is even 35,000. You have surpassed the school fees that this child is supposed to even use. And that is why I was saying, we are not saying go and buy school uniform all over. We are saying we have EPZs in this country. We have a 20% sum that is allowed locally. Why can't government allow schools, even those who are doing those schools, yes, you want to make profit, I don't know what it is, but anyway, go there, make it very affordable, and bring it in school. Than this thing we are doing in this country, where people know in January
it's a business opportunity.
Billions they are making in school fees. In school, you can imagine if you have 1,200 students in a school. You can imagine, like St. George's, I'm just giving an example, not about their uniform, because I know theirs is a bit affordable. I'm just giving an example. The class has roughly 600 students. You walk into State House, the same. So you tell me, the parent is caught up in first school uniform, shoes, the books. That alone will take roughly 50,000 shillings before he's now, or he or she, thinks of the school fees. So we must rethink the whole process. Okay. We must, and also bright students, and especially those who have come from public schools, because bright students who have come from private schools are students who we know their parents were able to afford. And so they will still go and be able to pay the school fees on this other side. But let's say children who have gone through public schools, and especially in areas that are very vulnerable, let's say the slums. So the other day, as I looked at Governor was giving out 827 million to children who are bright students of Nairobi. Don't forget, that is, the governor has tried his best to do that, but remember the effects are not there. That was just school fees.
So let me ask you this. In your constituency,
yes,
how many applications do you receive?
Like I started yesterday. So yesterday, I had 2 wards, Kabiru and Keleleshwa. Just for them coming in from morning to 3, we had more than 7,000 who had
applicants.
Come. Those were from 2 wards. This morning, before I came here, I have joined again Kilimani and Kawangware. We are now issuing them the forms. They fill, they leave it there so that we hasten the process. And by the time I was living there, it was not a good number to even talk about. It's crazy. And that is why, and tomorrow I have now...
What's the estimate?
The estimate? More than 8,000 people. And by the time I get to 10, 11, now when they start walking in, some are coming from very far also, you will find a very, very...
So those 4 wards, you're talking about 15,000
yes.
applicants.
Yes.
How do you assess who qualifies or doesn't?
Exactly. And that is why it has made me deliberately, to first just go to those who go to our day schools within. What I just do when I come in the morning, I ask how many, because children, the students come themselves. I tell them, I call the teacher, and I tell Mwalimu, I write all their names, go back to school. All we shall do is to write one check and send, you know, because...
So you're not able to determine who needs, who doesn't?
Because, yes, well, the moment you come there by 3 a.m. in the morning, you are on the line. What am I supposed to tell you? You see, that is the biggest challenge. I don't even have the time to determine what I want. First of all, I will hate to see students, especially Form 4s. I am very strict with Form 4s. You arrive there, I tell you, go back to school. I'd rather talk to the teacher. So that by the time the process, and with Form 4s, I have deliberately decided twice in a year, so that also when they are just about to start exams, they don't come back. We just leave them there.
I'll get back to you, but Honorable Ruku, so with taking this case, and I know you have your own situation in Mbeere North, but all these applicants, do you think there's any possibility of determining needy students so that, yes, it's a lot of resources, but it would be better if you're allocating a student, say, 5,000 shillings, it is better 10,000 shillings going to a needy student than being shared across as if everyone is of the same means?
Yeah, it is possible to have such kind of a program, but you realize that, for instance, in my constituency, Mbeere North, you have to take through verification process of everybody who has made the application, and you call all the people. I mean, an open-air meeting in different locations within the constituency where the parent come to do the verification of bursaries application. And the kind of people who comes for the verification process, you realize these are quite poor parents from my constituency. And therefore, to determine who is able and who is not very, very able, it is clear in my eyes. You can see that indeed those who are coming are very needy cases. And therefore, for those who are capable, you will not see most of them coming, probably a few. And therefore,
So beyond application, they have to appear physically?
Yeah, the system which I'm using in Mbeere North is you do application, but we have to call a public meeting in a day, you know, open for everybody to come.
How much are you disbursing to your students?
What happened in the previous bursaries, I dispersed 8,000 to the boarding schools, to the students who are in the boarding schools, and 5,000 to the students who are in day secondary school. But now, we have changed the system because we realize even after giving 5,000 to students who are in day secondary schools, most of them are still getting sent home because they have huge arrears. And therefore, we have to come up with a system to ensure these arrears is a thing of the past. That's how we developed a model where every student will pay 1,300 shilling in Mbeere North for those who are in day secondary school. And this is a program we are launching on Friday and Saturday.
This is per term or per year?
Per term.
Per term.
So per year, the parent will be paying 3,900 shilling. The rest of the fees is taken care of by the monies from the CDF for bursaries.
Senator, when you listen to these experiences that the members of National Assembly are talking about, then it looks like it will be a lot of pressure for CDF kitties, especially going to education financing. Yet those are not the only needs that NGCDF was supposed to address. Are we dealing with a situation of poverty, or what's going on here, and how do we make things better?
I think that's a very good question. I would myself propose that we have really a proper meeting of all stakeholders to discuss education financing. Because there was this time His Excellency the President focused on the university education funding model. And those professors and the thinkers around education in higher learning institutions, they came up with a model that it didn't please everyone, but it's a progression from where we were with the universities. Now, it's time that I think we as a nation need to sit down and tap on all these good brains. How do we fund education for high schoolers and those who are in boarding, those who are in day school? How do we come up with a model that works? Because surely the things, the way it is going, it is not going to work. We will come to a point where, especially because my colleagues in the National Assembly also, they have this unique challenge that their own monies for NGCDF, they are not being released on time, okay? So if they're not being released on time, and they're supposed to also use the same funds to ensure that their students from their constituency are in school in good time,
right,
and yet the monies that are supposed to be sending them to school in good times are not with them, we have a challenge. So the discussions, I think, should run around issues like how do we ring-fence education funding within the CDF that will make sure it is released irrespective of all the other things that CDF does, that this money for education is prioritized and released on time. Either that, or why don't we create a national fund for just bursary? Or why don't we send the money? We need some thinking around this. I think it should be fertilized by thoughts from members of parliament, education stakeholders, principals, people in leadership around the education sector. We need, and even those who have been financing, like the Wings to Fly, we need to actually have a thinking around this sector. It's not organized, and we need to organize it. And it will be a good thing. We know that the higher education has been done to a certain extent, whether people are very happy or not very happy, but it's been done.
Right.
We've had a progress. Now we need to think around what you're going to do about the high school funding of education.
All right.
And all these stakeholders, when they come, we can't fail to have a way forward.
Honorable Ache, as we exit from this topic, so for you, how much do you receive for CDF in a year, in total?
In total, it's 167, but bursary is only allowed 40% of it.
40% of that?
Yes.
Okay, so that comes to about how much?
Roughly 50 or 45 million, I would say. And then it's both for the university students and the high school students. So, so what happens is that all college students, what I normally do, okay, I decided I have just students, best students who I have picked, who I want in 4 years to see them go in campus. So those ones, they just go with a full bursary, where I make sure we are able to pay everything. But
so if the school fees is 60,000, you pay 60,000? Well,
yes, but I also use my foundation to push in, because there are roughly 200 students. So the bursary will not really hold on all those students.
Okay.
But then the other thing that I am trying to do also is to just call in people who can afford, just adopt a child and go to school. I want to thank some of them who have taken, like the best student in Mudangari, the boy was taken by Strathmore. And so Strathmore will handle that for the next years until he finishes university. We have others, reinsurance, they also picked. We have, and many others. Okay. So as equity picks, we have those who come in.
All right.
What we need to do is to ask ourselves, when you have children who are living in the slums, it does not matter whether they went through the public or these ABET schools, because there are many ABET schools where kids perform and find themselves with 350. So what happens? But the other question now should be, as we exit, as I said, this system, slowly by slowly,
yes,
let us not put the junior secondary into that vulnerability that we have done with these children. We have to ensure, as Senator says, fine, the capitation goes to school, and then we just manage very few. In fact, what we should be managing is the academics.
All right.
If I am asked, how do you sit down with teachers and ensure every child feels comfortable, regardless in the schools they are, especially our public schools, so that you don't always feel vulnerable that you're in a public school and a child from this other school will perform and find. And we have to be very clear that in the CBC system, children in public schools takes first priority.
All right.
Not the way we have been doing. But lastly, and I'm sorry to say this, we have children. I have a girl, I took her yesterday to Moi Girls, Pokoli. This girl did her KCPE in 2021. Has never joined school. Another one in Lavington Girls, never joined school. So even as they say they are sweeping this 280, if you find girls who graciously have not gotten pregnant, please let us take all children, even the young men who are on borders and are below 18, and they were supposed to be in school, and maybe they passed. They are there. They decided to go on a border, which girls cannot go, but we must take them to school.
All right.
Yes.
I hear you, Honorable Elachi. I was asking that question because of the competing needs that a constituency would have, whether it's about infrastructure in the schools, but also the financing of education, especially for the needy learners. We'll continue that conversation, but we're now taking a short break. When we come back, we'll speak about the question of the separation of powers among the three arms of government. Stay tuned for that.